The new max skill up event gives you the opportunity to fully skill up a Nat 5, Nat 4, and secondary awakened monster of your choice. So let's talk about some priorities. Quick disclaimers. For the most possible value, you should probably avoid doing a monster that has a passive without skill levels in it, or a monster that's easily skilled up through monsters you can just fuse. But look, I'm not going to fault you if you don't want to do all that. One last thing is just that, look, it would be impossible for me to cover every single monster that would be a good option for you to skill up. So instead, I'm going to hopefully give you the tenets that you need to decide on what monster you're ultimately going to skill up, and also come at it from a perspective of like, if you are a new player, here are maybe a few good priorities to look for. Let's talk about some priority second awakenings first. Obviously, there's Crow. Crow has been at the top of the list for the top 5 secondary awakenings for years now, and it's still true. He's one of the best dogs in the game, so he's a great option if you want to go for him. And if you're deciding between the dogs, I would say maybe skew more Crow than Rauk, because Rauk does have a passive, so there's more value to be had in Crow. Now, with that said, there is a small argument to be made for Shaman. Even though he's got a passive, and even though there are only 4 levels in his skills total, his second skill actually gets a cooldown time reduction. So it's something to keep in mind, though you may get more value out of the following options. Spectra and Zinc both have harmful effect rate up on their skills, so you're going to get quite a bit of value there if you choose to skill them up, and also Zinc has like 6 levels amongst his skills. Then you can take Gina and Sath into consideration for the same reasons. Sath is an example of having a passive, but still having skill levels within it. And harmful effect rate up on Gina's skill 3 sounds pretty juicy, to be honest. Also, even though I don't necessarily think that you should go for something like Bella Dion, I did just want to shout out Bella, because he's actually got some pretty significant stat boosts in those skill ups. Like, he gets increased recovery and attack bar increase as well. So his skills become more effective as you skill them up. So I think he at least represents a good signpost for the sort of thing you want to look for when you go to make your decision on a monster. It's like, how many skill ups am I getting? And also, what am I gaining? Now let's talk about some key Nat 4s that you can benefit from. So real quick, let's just talk about Tyrone. Tyrone is the water sylph, and honestly, you could just fuse a bunch of Berettas, but I would encourage you to just be honest with yourself. If you're not going to do that, then it's more important you just have a fully skilled up Tyrone, right? I'd rather you have a fully skilled up Tyrone than not. That's it. You could also go for something like Abigail, the water cannon girl, who once awakened has like 12 skill ups available. That's a lot of value. And now that you can actually awaken her and use her in Necro to the same efficacy as you could if she was unawakened, might be a good investment. For more details on her, you can check out the guide to Necro on the channel. Then, even though Kyle has a passive that doesn't feature skill ups, he still manages to jam in 10 skill level up points on those 2 skills. That is a ton. So if you wanted to use this opportunity to skill up your Kyle to form a speed team for dragons, wouldn't blame you. I might do the same, to be honest. You could also take into consideration completing a set of twins, namely a Talia, a Sabrina, something that maybe doesn't have a passive though, so you get more opportunities for skill up points. There's also the OG AoE defense breaker and attack buffer, Galleon. He's a staple on many arena offense comps, and you can also use him for some speed teams in dungeons. Ultimately, you're going to want to look for stuff that can help you clear content and that you don't have a fusible option for. For instance, Astar and Kaki are incredible units for dungeons and arena respectively, but both have a fusible family member at the fusion hexagram, so you should probably opt for something else. Alternatively, you could also go for something like the Wind or Dark Robo to help out in your RTA comps. Look for options that could help you in Guild Wars too, just, maybe stay away from like Triana and Lu Mei, because both of those have a fusible family member too. Now let's just talk about a few Nat 5s. First of all, Teshar. I know he has a passive, but it's actually got skill levels, so it's worth it. And I know a lot of people took him as their Nat 5 from the Choose a Nat 5 event. And for good reason too. Teshar is the leader and one of the main damage dealers in a speed team for Giants right now. And having that passive fully skilled up will mean that his AoE hit is available more often and it will do more damage. Next up, with a similar thought, it's Liam, the Water Weapon Master. Liam is featured in a lot of speed teams for dungeons right now, and he needs a lot of skill ups, so this would be a good opportunity to get that done. because it'd be great to have that third skill online more often. Keeping in the theme of dungeons and big damage, let's talk about a fire option in Brandia, the Fire Polar Queen. Brandia is seeing use in Steel Fortress. You can bring her into raids or anywhere where you need big damage, like the Rift Beasts. And like the rest of the people on this list, she needs quite a few skill ups. That's going to be a running theme throughout this entire video, right? The last point that I wanted to cover for Nat 5s is that if you need something to complete your RTA team, just keep in mind the value thing. Make sure that you're just getting a lot of mileage out of this event. So like, if it is a monster that has a passive, just make sure that it's got skill levels in it, like Manon or Teshar. But if it's like Veramos, who doesn't, yeah, then maybe don't do that. Unless it's like a Minato. Minato's got so many skill ups, even though he's got a passive. There we go. Let me know who you ultimately decided to use in the event, and I will see y'all next time.